For me, a learning ecology tries to capture everything about a learner learning in their environment with all the resources that that environment has, and also capturing their learning and development that comes from their interactions with their environment. So it's probably easiest to illustrate from an example. So if I was in my work environment and I had a challenge, a problem, then I would look for resources, or I might even create resources. I would look for help. I would be very conscious of the context within which I was working. And so all these things would come together in what I would call a learning ecology. So it's me in my environment trying to solve a problem, an issue, and drawing on all the resources, the technologies, and the interactions that I can have in that environment in order to learn. I think it's something that we all do intuitively. It's not something new. What's new, in a sense, is trying to use this as a way of designing our educational processes. But what we do to learn in the way I've described is something that we do intuitively. I think what we're trying to do by developing a concept is to use it to explain to people so that they can become more aware that this is what they're doing, and then perhaps they can be even better at creating their own ecologies for learning. So I think in terms of a long-term development in education, it will really enhance the way people look at learning. It will also broaden the horizons of teachers designing programs so that they can see it's much more than just giving content. It's actually about helping people see the affordances that they've got in their environments, and then utilize those affordances. So it's a change in the way that a teacher will design learning experiences is fundamentally what we're at. And life-wide education is the term that we apply to an institution that is trying to support life-wide learning. So life-wide learning is everything that an individual does in all their spaces and all their contexts simultaneously in their life. So for example, if you take me as an example, then I have my work environment, I have my family and home and friends. There's a social dimension to it. I have a garden, which I pour time into. I have hobbies, one of which is being in a band, and I do some volunteering. So all those different places in my life encourage me to be the person I am. I am the integration of all those things. It's the same for students. You know, talk to a student and they have all these different places and spaces in which they're learning and developing as they progress through their higher education studies. So life-wide education is an institution that's adopted this view of learning, this holistic view of learning, and is trying to support it in their learners. And from that, all sorts of things flow, like you have a concept of a life-wide curriculum, not a narrow academic curriculum, but a curriculum that embraces co-curricular, extracurricular, work-based learning, community-based learning, and extracurricular, so everything is included. So that's my view of life-wide education. It's support for learning that is life-wide. Well, some people would say that that's included in lifelong learning, but to me, if you try and pull apart life-wide learning and say, actually, it's made up of all these different things, then we can be much more supportive in an educational sense. Because lifelong learning is quite abstract, and you actually only know where you've been in life when you look back on it. It's very hard to sort of plan for lifelong learning, but what you can influence day to day is your life-wide learning. And so that's where the effort has been to explain what life-wide learning means and how an educational institution might support that through life-wide education.